Now it's time to welcome our next guest, Nathan Cox, co-founder of Retirement Income Solutions, a retirement income store in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. This is Nathan's first time on our show, but he's no stranger to the financial industry. He's been dedicated to his clients' financial needs now for more than 23 years. Nathan, thanks so much for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave.
Now, as you've heard, we're talking today about why so many retirees retire and it becomes kind of a letdown, why they deprive themselves. In your opinion, why is that? Why don't they reward themselves more when folks retire?
I found over the years that many people do feel this way. It seems though is not knowing what the future holds is a huge factor. Are interest rates going up or are they going down? What's the stock market going to do? The vast majority of the public just doesn't know how to live stress-free in retirement when it comes to their investments.
And I think you can relate to this next one because, I know that as a retirement income store franchisee, i.e. A friend of the income generation, you're in this business not for the money, you're in this business because the sense of fulfillment that you get helping people through this transition from their accumulation years to the distribution years. And I think about people like you and me and what we would ever do with our time if we ever retired, because all of a sudden all that sense of fulfillment goes away. Do you see that happening also with some of your professionals, the career people that retire, and then all of a sudden that sense of fulfillment's gone?
Yes, we see that in our practice almost on a daily basis. You must have things to look forward to and enjoy. Now, this doesn't always equate to stuff. Some retirees like to travel, purchase that item that they always dreamed of, or maybe looking forward to be able to volunteer in the community. But you have to understand that all this takes income.
Yeah, that's right. It takes income to do all those things. So, those are some examples. Give us a couple more examples of how someone can budget themselves and use this income in such a way so that they can still achieve some goals. They can get some attaboys, if you will, or attagirls, without breaking the bank.
Well, reducing stress by reducing market risk and investing for income is a great way to reward yourself. Having the income you need in retirement without touching principal or having to sell shares goes a long way. Because once again, retirement is all about income.
Well, and I guess the reality is, when you're working, at some point in a lot of people's lives, they made the mistake of racking up the credit cards. They only do that once and once only. They pay them off and then they're done. So they get used to living off their income. So the beauty about investing for income when you're retired is if you know how much income you have, you know how much you can spend and stay within your limits. Stay with us, please, Nathan. We need to take a quick break. You stay with us, too. We'll be right back here with more words of wisdom from our good friend Nathan Cox in just a minute, right here on The Income Generation. Welcome back. We're talking with Nathan Cox, co-founder of Retirement Income Solutions, a retirement income store located in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Nathan, thanks again for sticking around.
Thank you.
Okay, so, investing for income is something that you and I are both passionate about, and that's why I'm so glad that you are a retirement income store franchisee. But I need to ask you, in your own opinion, how does income give you a permission slip to reward yourself? I just talked about it briefly, but tell us in your own words.
Sure. Well, investing for predictable, repeatable income in retirement means that you're not counting on market appreciation or other things you can't control. You don't have to sell shares to generate income. Shares represents principal. So who wants to plan that dream vacation or buy that 1966 Camaro that they've always dreamed about and then turn around and feel guilty because you had to sell depreciated assets to pay for it? Investing for income can make your principal last longer and longer in retirement.
It's the renewable resource we just talked about before, agreed completely. But now most people think, if I invest for income, I don't have an inflation hedge, or I'm not getting growth on my money in case I need long-term care or full-time home health care. So can you take a minute and just explain how keeping your principal intact essentially can help you with those concerns?
Well, reducing risk ahead of retirement is a smart move. By moving your investment philosophy from growth to income, the risks are reduced. You move from speculation on capital principal to predictable and dependable interest and dividends. it's usually smart to do this 5 to 10 years before retirement, or if you're already retired. What you've saved to this point is important, and you don't want to run the risk of losing it when you're so close to winning the game. And inflation, of course, we talked about inflation, or you brought up inflation. Inflation doesn't care if you're retired or not. And we all know that healthcare costs inflate probably more than anything.
And you don't want to be spending your principal down in your 60s or 70s, but if you're in your mid-80s, you need full-time home health care, or you need to spend some principal as an inflation hedge, at least you have it intact because you have the renewable resource. So 40 seconds. Can you tell us a tale of either a client that planned their entire lives for retirement, but then got to retirement, were disappointed and bored within a year, they're looking for part-time work to relieve the boredom, or conversely, a client that you thought was a workaholic, but somehow managed to make that cut and live a rewarding retirement? Either side.
I had a client who recently came by the office who, had been working and planning and looking forward to retirement for many years, obviously, like most people. And, they came in the office and they've been retired now for about 2 years, but they were coming in because they didn't have a plan. They didn't know what retirement looked like. They had spent their lives with goals and ambitions and things of that nature. And then they got into their retirement life and they didn't have a plan. They didn't know what to do.
I appreciate your time so much, hey, Nathan. Unfortunately, we need to leave it there for now. You stay with us. We'll be right back here with more on the Income Generation. I'm David Scranton. Yes, we'll be right back.